The third generation of Pokemon, also known as the Hoenn region, is beloved by many fans, including myself, for a myriad of reasons. The introduction of abilities gave most Pokemon extra flexibility in their roles, while the addition of effort values, also known as EVs, allowed every Pokemon to hit harder or tank hits better. And that is on top of the excellent new roster of Pokemon introduced, as well as Trumpets. Hoenn Pokemon like Blaziken, Swampert, Gardevoir, Metagross, the Lati Twins, Groudon, Kyogre, and the menace known as Rayquaza remain excellent even in today's heavily power-crept metagame, while Pokemon like Sceptile, Swellow, Pelipper, Torkoal, Medicham, and Salamence manage to be great lower-tier Pokemon. But outside of those notable Pokemon, the rest of the Hoenn deck starts to get noticeably crummy. Pokemon like Spinda, Volbeat, Delcatty, and other Hoenn Pokemon like Chimecho are just terrible. And one of the most notable Terran Hoenn Pokemon would be everyone's favorite Bananasaur Pokemon, also known as Tropius. There really is no other way to put it. Tropius is just ass! With laughably bad stats and awful typing, two abilities that don't help Tropius much, and a move pool that is just barely average. Tropius is a Pokemon that has never been good and will remain terrible if it doesn't receive the laundry list of buffs it has been long overdue for. So rather than mope around and hope Game Freak will buff Tropius, let me show you how I would buff the Banana Dino by starting with Tropius' stats. Like I said, Tropius' stats are laughably bad, with low offenses, underwhelming bulk, and terrible speed with not one stat breaking 100. It should hopefully make sense as to why these stats are bad, especially for a single stage Pokemon. So how could these stats be improved? Well, by adding 52 points to Tropius' base stat total of 460 and doing some stat retweaking, Tropius' new base stat total of 512 will now boast a beefy HP stat of 126, a middling attack stat of 72, a solid defense stat of 95, a mediocre special attack stat of 80, a nice special defense stat of 100, and an awful speed stat of 41. These new stats, particularly its gargantuan HP stat of 126 and solid defenses, allow Tropius to take opposing hits and not immediately die to them. And while Tropius isn't a powerhouse by any means, some extra points into its lackluster offenses will let Tropius reliably attack the opponent. And this new hit-taking capability all comes at the cost of Tropius' terrible speed, which was already terrible to begin with. And losing speed isn't a huge issue when Tropius' new bulk allows it to more easily tank opposing attacks, especially with the new abilities that I want to give Tropius. And there is no need to change Tropius' typing, as although Grass Flying is a pretty bad typing, there aren't any dex entries or notable amount of moves that hint at Tropius receiving a different typing altogether. But instead of trying to think of a new typing for Tropius, let's talk about the two abilities that don't help Tropius very much: Chlorophyll and Solar Power. Chlorophyll is often the default ability for terrible grass types, and I doubt a Pokemon with a base speed stat of 41 would want to use Chlorophyll in battle, and I especially doubt that same Pokemon would want to use Solar Power when it has mediocre offenses. As for Tropius' third ability, Harvest, I wouldn't consider it useless on Tropius. In fact, it works for Tropius, as it allows it to use berries multiple times while fitting alongside its dex entries of growing bananas on itself. And those same dex entries were what I used when deciding to replace Chlorophyll and Solar Power with Regenerator and Natural Cure. As I mentioned with Harvest, Tropius' dex entries mention the Pokemon's ability to grow bananas on its neck. And even if these bananas are picked from its neck, no bananas appear to grow back. And since Tropius is now going to be a bulkier Pokemon, Regenerator works great for Tropius' hit-taking capabilities while fitting alongside its dex entries and design. As for the Natural Cure ability, Tropius' Harvest and newfound Regenerator ability implies that Tropius frequently maintains its well-being, and Natural Cure would fit alongside this self-nurturing nature, as in addition to playing alongside this character of Tropius, Natural Cure would also help Tropius shake off status conditions like Burn, Paralysis, Poison, Sleep, and even Freeze when switching out of battle. This ability to shake off status conditions when switching out not only works alongside Tropius' self-preservation, but also allows Tropius to stay in good condition throughout a battle. Now that Tropius has 2 excellent new abilities, let's give it some new moves it can use to get the best out of these abilities, such as Strength Sap, which provides Tropius a form of reliable recovery while hindering the progression of physical attacking Pokemon. Another move that can obstruct the progress of physical attacking Pokemon would be Reflect, greatly boosting the physical defense of a team for a few turns. Reflect gives Tropius the option to greatly bolster its great bulk while further supporting its own team. And it also applies to Light Screen, but instead of hindering physical attackers, it's going to hinder special attackers. And since Tropius would very much like to screw over the opponent as much as it could use Worry Seed to change their useful ability to the situational Insomnia. But if Tropius doesn't want to change the opponent's ability to Insomnia and wants to put them to sleep instead, could use Yawn to thrust the opponent into an unfavorable position. And with the opponent snoozing away, Tropius can now use new offensive moves like Stone Edge, which provides Tropius crucial coverage against Ice type while having a slot on the niche Dragon Dance sets that Tropius ran in the past. Another move that could provide coverage against Ice types would be Iron Head, which also has the plus side of hitting Fairy types for super effective damage, and possibly flinching if Tropius acquires enough Dragon Dance boosts. And those same Dragon Dance sets can now run Wood Hammer as a strong physical grass move instead of the mediocre Petal Blizzard. Meanwhile, Knockoff provides Tropius a move that can remove the opponent's item. And to round out the new moves for our Bananasaur friend, I want to provide it 2 special moves that can serve as crucial coverage on Calm Mind sets, Heat Wave and Earth Power. The former serves as fire coverage against opposing grass types, and works for a grass type that is usually found in hot, dense tropical forests, while the latter serves as ground coverage that hits fire, poison, and steel types that wall its grass and flying stabs for super effective damage. With a new base stat total of 512, Regenerator and Natural Cure as new abilities, and some new moves like Strength Sap, the Screens, Stone Edge, Wood Hammer, and even Earth Power, Tropius can now be a decent lower tier Pokemon that can contribute to a team's success with its respectable bulk and support moves, while also having the option to go on the offensive itself. But those are the buffs I would provide for Tropius. What do you think about these buffs? Let me know down in the comments below, and while you're down there, why not tell me a Pokemon you would like to see me buff next, and join my team by subscribing. It will be really cool and I might just do your request. But until next time, I'll catch you later.